Today we are revisiting an older video of mine. Cog Skip Skip is a fundamental trick speedrunners use on all versions right around the start of the run. It's very difficult to learn and can even take a while to get it for the first time. And then even after you master the trick, it still seems to find a way to fail. Out of the 20 world records since Cog Skip Skip was first starting to be used in the run, the trick was failed on the first attempt 5 times. That's 25%. It's not a lot of data to really make an accurate assessment, but I wanted to mention it anyways. All this for what takes less than 3 seconds in a run. But why is it so difficult? Cog Skip Skip's name is a callback to Dino Skip Skip in Mario Odyssey. Cog Skip Skip is skipping Cog Skip, but Cog Skip isn't Cog Skip, it's early wings, so we weren't skipping any cogs. I argue that we were using a cog to skip rather than skipping cogs, so Cog Skip is Cog Skip Skip because we were skipping the use of cogs to skip. I'm just kidding. Sometimes names stick and sometimes it doesn't really matter. Pathing out of the Room of Awakening started pretty simple. Hit the terminal and go fast. Until someone found out that with a little schmovement we can get around these cogs. This was tricky in its own right, and it even worked on cycles, with the first possible cycle being pretty difficult to catch. We would use this to get on top of Room of Awakening and get a chest containing some wings, which may not save time in the beginning, but it did save a lot of time later on. Which brings us to Cog Skip Skip, or CSS. Not only is it faster than using the cogs, but you can skip the cutscene activating the cogs and opening the door, which saved upwards of 40 seconds. There are 3 factors to getting a successful CSS jump, 2 of which aren't as difficult as you might imagine, but are heavily affected by the 3rd factor. Let's look at each factor individually before we talk about how to pull it off. The first controllable factor is the timing of your long jump, or the run, jump, throw aim, attack. The timing isn't extremely strict, but requires you to commit it to muscle memory. The long jump works with a jump attack as long as the direction you're holding is more than 90 degrees away from the direction Link is facing. The issue becomes getting running momentum towards a direction you want to long jump, and then also meeting the requirements of the long jump, which is why we add the throw aim. The throw aim changes Link's facing direction, allowing us to hold the same direction and cancel the throw aim with a jump attack. This is why for most long jumps the camera is looking at the front side of Link, so that the throw aim will turn Link and the direction we are holding is within the limits and we can successfully long jump. The second controllable factor is the angle you intend on approaching the wall. The primary issue with setting of the angle mostly depends on 2 things. Your ability to find the location of the direction you intend to head on your control stick, and how close you are to facing that direction before you start. Link only has a little bit of forgiveness in either direction when you start to run, meaning if you select an angle slightly off of Link's standing direction, you'll still run in that direction on the first frame. But if you select a direction outside that angle, Link will need to turn to face that direction before running, which can greatly throw off the timing for the jump afterwards, mostly causing you to jump in place if you aren't prepared for it. Most of the time you see someone performing CSS, they start by aiming at a point in the opposite direction of the wall. This is not only to help with positioning, but is typically 180 degrees from the point they are trying to jump to, so that when they turn around, they can be mostly sure they are heading in the right direction. And to get a smooth 180 degree turn, you only need to slightly pull down on the stick. The last and most important factor is speed. The speed at which you leave the wheel makes or breaks a successful attempt. This speed does not come from a normal run and jump, but comes from jumping while running down a steep slope. You can see here I make the effort to jump at the same level on the wheel. I might perform the long jump a frame apart, but the distance gained from the speedy jump is apparent. We can show this difference in speed if we have a slope that continues to go down. The speed comes from slopes too steep to stand on. You can run down these slopes, but depending on how steep they are, you need to either start on the slope or the slope needs to have a gradual decrease. Trying to get Link to run down a slope without these factors will cause him to be ejected. Which brings us to the wheel. If you've ever attempted CSS, you'd know this thing is slippery. This wheel has aspects that makes getting this speedy jump easy, but not when it comes to the right height and angle that we need. This whole side of the wheel is steep enough to get a speedy jump, but we have to start our jump somewhere up here to get the correct angle. Then we have the slope on the side of the wheel. This slope is silly. It's competing in two directions, but the best part about it is its gradual increase. The only issue here is by the time you have any reasonable, jumpable slope, you're too low to get the height needed. Here lies the issue with CSS and what makes it so difficult. The section of space that gives us the speedy jump at the correct height and a usable angle is about this big and kinda janky. This influences the time in which you jump after running and the angle you choose to run at the wall, which is extremely limiting. You can see these slopes just by walking Link over them. Link slides down here, but he also stands flat here, and it really doesn't make a lot of sense. I should mention that these visuals are just close approximations of the limitations and are not exact. So, how does all this information help us? I would say that the main reason I wanted to provide this rundown was because it's interesting, but more importantly, to show that there isn't just one way to do it. There are plenty of places to stand, aim, jump, but unfortunately it does not make the trick any easier. The only way to make it easier is a consistent setup and muscle memory. The first thing you should learn is a consistent long jump. You shouldn't be on the wheel and also trying to learn the long jump timing. I find it best to come over here. You can walk up this ledge and stop immediately, then turn around. You'll always start by just holding the B button. We can break this down into two steps. First is the down and then jump. This down jump is dependent on when you need to jump, but for most CSS setups, the jump comes right after you start running. So while holding B, press down and then jump. In this scenario, one of three things happened. You jumped in place, which means you jumped too early. You ran off the edge, meaning you jumped too late. And if you jumped in the direction you intended, then you jumped at the right time. If you got this part down, the next part is the throw aim to attack. The throw aim needs to happen right after the jump, so that Link is completely turned around for the attack, and then shortly after that you can attack. This timing should become muscle memory, and you should repeat this multiple times until you don't even need to think about it. Your goal is to land at this bottom step. Of course, by waiting to attack later, you can get much further than the bottom step, but that doesn't maintain the height we need. The correct timing should always land you on or near this bottom step. A common question I get asked is how I hold the controller to achieve this. I think a misconception I had is that you needed to hold the B button longer, but that's not the case. You can let go of the B button as long as you've pressed jump immediately afterwards. So typically I use the base of my thumb to run, and when I need to jump, I'll roll my thumb up and to the right, leaving the smallest window of time between the B and X press. You can practice this on flat ground. Just run at the camera, jump and throw aim. Here's what it looks like when I'm on the edge. And here's what it looks like when I perform CSS. After learning a long jump, the next part is finding a consistent setup. I find it easiest to crouch and hold throw aim while getting into position. It allows me to make small adjustments. One thing to note is that when you get too close to this wall, while looking down or in throw aim, the camera can get zoomed in, and you'll need to shake the camera to get it zoomed back out. Or get into position without the camera getting too close to the wall. This can throw off your setup, so it's something to be aware of. I look at my knee to sort of put it on the edge here, and then I look at my cursor, making sure that the right is touching this little part on the wall, and that the top and bottom are kind of right here at this angle on the inside of the wheel. Once I feel comfortable with the position, I press B to get out of throw aim, B to put out my weapon, B to stand up. Then I turn around and perform the long jump. As soon as I land, I hold ZL and back up. This part can be surprisingly subjective. There are a lot of different setups, and the setup you should use is the one that works best for you. But I believe you should try at least some of the other setups just to make sure you have options and maybe find one you're more comfortable with. In order to illustrate the diversity of setups and to give you a few options, I asked some of the top speedrunners to give us a short rundown on what they look for when they set up.
Alright, I'm Gymnast86, and for my Cog Skip setup, I basically put Link's right foot about right there, specifically looking at where his heel is in comparison to the corner that's to the bottom left of it, and then I place the top line of the crosshair just to the right of the dark line that's on the cog right there. And then we just turn around, and we do the jump.
Yo, I'm RedSlay, former 80% world record holder. To set up Cog Skip, I point the camera straight down, look at Link's left foot and make sure it makes a V shape with the white line on the cog, and I look at the right cursor and make sure it's lined up with that white mark on the wall like that.
What's up everyone, my name is LovelySirius. I'm currently 3rd place on the any percent leaderboard for this game, and I'm going to show you how I do my CSS setup. So the first thing that I do is I look at Link's left foot and make sure that it's on the black line that goes all the way around the cog. Once that is in position, I look at the top right of this rectangular indent in the cog, and I put the top crosshair on that. And then depending on where I'm standing, I'll adjust a little bit more to the right to get an angle I'm happy with. This one looks good. Once I have a good angle, I just focus on holding straight down and jumping as early as possible, and that usually gives me the speed that I need. So let's see if I get it here. Good, very good speed. And yeah, that is how I do my setup. Thank you for watching, I hope this was helpful.
Hello, I'm Player 5. I'm a Tears of the Kingdom any percent speedrunner, and I've been running the game since about a month after it came out. Here are my Cog Skip cues. So right here, you'll want to line up the top reticle with this corner on the rebel, and then while you're still in throw aim, line up Link's belt with the opposite corner. Now from here, don't touch the right stick, that'll just mess up your angle. Now turn Link around, make sure he's facing the correct direction, and then hold B, and when you press down on the left stick, immediately jump, and then throw aim and jump slash. And then you can hold ZL and backflip to make sure you stay up top. Now one more time in full speed. And there you go.
Hi, I'm SeriousChallenges. I'm currently one of the top runners in Tears of the Kingdom 20%, and Timber asked me to show my CSS setup because mine is so different of all the other runners. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, we get onto this cog. Then I'm gonna put the camera in like a bird's peak position, so I'm looking downwards on Link. I'm gonna position him on the edge of this square, like right on the edge. When you stand over here, you see this line over there where I'm looking right now. This is the part you're jumping over. Like right over here. You're gonna go from here and run over this and do the jump. I like to have him facing the wall, because then I have more time to prepare the jump. Because if I turn my Link to the right and I hold right, he's gonna start running immediately. If I turn him towards the wall and then I hold right, he's gonna turn first and then he's gonna start running, which gives me way more time to prepare the jump. Next, I'm gonna start running and I press jump and throw weapon, so R. I press jump a little bit earlier, so it's like a frame or two earlier. Like, it's like this. It's really almost at the same time. Once you got this, there's really not much left. You only have to do the jump slash. Of course, you should do the jump slash at the peak of the jump. The only important part is that you get the right speed and that you have the right angle. So if you do everything correctly, you see this was really close and I didn't have the right speed. Like my speed was not perfect, but my angle was really good, so I still made it. I had attempts where I was landing all the way over there, or like way more to the right here, like here, and it was still working.
I know these setups may have gone by fast, but I asked them to make an effort to only explain it and the few steps it takes them to find their spot. Except for SeriousChallenges, his setup is so different that I felt like it needed a little bit more. But if you want to go fast, that's how it's done. I did attempt to include a pausable moment in each of the setups so you can stop and try to match it with your setup. The last question to answer is why I chose to make a video about Cog Skip Skip, this dusty old trick that we solved months ago. Because I wanted to. But in all seriousness, it's because I want you to speedrun Tears of the Kingdom. If you want to. There are a lot of hard tricks in this game, but CSS I would say is high on that list. It's used in all versions and a lot of the categories. As someone who has had to learn this trick and is always trying to learn more, I know what it's like to be extremely frustrated when I can't understand what I'm doing wrong. Given that this trick is right at the start of the game, I can see how some people might get discouraged early in their speedrunning journey. People might tell you to skip it for now, which is great advice, but if you're anything like me, that ain't happening. So I decided to do too much research and to go into too much detail about this trick in hopes to help you keep trying, or try again. This video doesn't have all the answers, and I'm sure I got something wrong, but if you get anything from this video is just get it once and work backwards. Take your time now so you can make it faster later. Good luck. I want to thank my channel members, Math Music, Crescendo, Suishi, Venomous Stream, Dance France, Planethek, Trevor, Taco Sensei, Jake Keto, Weirdo, and Why You Have to Be Mad. Thanks for watching.
Good.